Imagine two neighbors, same street, same kind of house. Both make roughly the same income, let's say around $60,000 a year. One of them, 10 years from now, will have a growing investment portfolio, a paid-off car, and real financial options in life. The other will still be living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all the money went. Same income, completely different outcomes. And here's the thing that makes this so unsettling. The second person isn't lazy. They're not irresponsible. They're actually doing everything society told them to do. They got the degree, they got the job, they bought the house, they're working hard and spending normally. And yet somehow, the wealth never seems to arrive. So what's the difference? What is the one person seeing that the other person is completely missing? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. Because there is a trap, a very specific trap, that catches millions of middle-class people right at the moment they feel like they're finally doing well. And the reason nobody talks about it is because from the outside, it looks completely fine. It looks like success. Let's start with a feeling you might recognize. You get a raise at work. Maybe it's $3,000 more per year. For a few days, you feel genuinely good about it. You think about what you could do with that extra money. Maybe pay down some debt. Maybe start saving more seriously. Maybe finally put something into investments. But then something interesting happens. A few months go by, and somehow you don't feel any richer. The bank account looks pretty much the same. The raise disappeared into your life like water into sand. You just spent more. On what? You couldn't even tell someone exactly what. This is not a willpower problem. This is not a discipline problem. This is a psychological phenomenon that economists call lifestyle inflation, and it is the silent engine that keeps most middle-class people running in place for decades. Here's how it works. When your income goes up, your brain doesn't think opportunity. Your brain thinks permission. Permission to upgrade. Permission to relax a little. Permission to match your lifestyle to your new income level. And because everyone around you, your colleagues, your friends, your social circle is doing the same thing, it feels completely normal. It feels like the natural order of things. You upgrade your apartment, you get a nicer car, you start eating at slightly better restaurants. You go on that vacation you've been putting off. Every single one of these things on its own seems reasonable, deserved even. You worked hard for this. Why shouldn't you enjoy it? And that's exactly where the trap closes. Let me give you a simple number to think about. Imagine someone earns $50,000 a year at 25. By the time they're 40, through promotions and career growth, they're earning $90,000. That's $40,000 more per year. Over 15 years, that's an extra $600,000 in income compared to where they started. $600,000. Where did it go? In most cases, it got absorbed. The apartment got bigger. The car got newer. The kids got private lessons and better gadgets. The holidays got longer. The wardrobe got upgraded. And all of it happened gradually, quietly, one small decision at a time, so it never felt like a big choice. It just felt like living. This is what makes lifestyle inflation so dangerous. It doesn't feel like a mistake while it's happening. It feels like progress. And here's the psychological kicker. Our brains are actually wired to make this exact mistake. There's a concept in psychology called hedonic adaptation. It basically means that humans are remarkable at getting used to things. A new car feels incredible for about 3 weeks. A bigger apartment feels spacious for maybe 2 months. Then your brain recalibrates. That thing becomes your new normal, and you're back to baseline. The excitement fades, but the cost stays. So you keep needing the next upgrade to get that same feeling of progress, and the cycle feeds itself. Now, here's the part that really stings. The middle-class trap isn't just about spending more when you earn more. It runs deeper than that. It's about what happens to your money before you even get a chance to make a decision about it. Think about the typical middle-class financial structure. You earn your salary, you pay your rent or mortgage, you make your car payment, you cover insurance, utilities, subscriptions, and groceries. And then, whatever's left over, you try to save or invest. That whatever's left over model sounds responsible. It sounds like how an adult manages money. But it's actually backwards, because in real life, whatever is left over after spending is usually nothing. or very close to nothing. Wealthy people, and I'm not talking about lottery winners or trust fund kids, I'm talking about people who genuinely built lasting financial security, they think about this completely differently. They flip the order. They decide what to invest first, and then they live on what's left. It's a small change in sequence, but it completely changes the outcome. When you save what's left after spending, your lifestyle always expands to consume everything available. But when you invest first and live on the rest, your lifestyle naturally adjusts to what's there. Human beings are incredibly adaptable. If you transfer $200 to an investment account the day your paycheck arrives, you will figure out how to live without those $200. Your brain will find a way. But if those $200 sit in your checking account, they will be gone by the end of the month. Guaranteed. This is why the financial advice, just spend less, almost never works long term. It relies on willpower and constant decision-making, and willpower is a limited resource. But systems don't require willpower. Systems just work. Let's talk about something called the wealth gap illusion. Most middle-class people believe that wealth is a function of income. Earn more, become wealthier. It sounds obvious, but it's not quite right. Wealth is not what you earn. Wealth is what you keep, and more importantly, what you put to work. There's a famous concept in personal finance called the millionaire next door. Researchers spent years studying genuinely wealthy people in America, and what they found surprised a lot of people. The wealthiest individuals weren't usually the ones driving the nicest cars or living in the biggest houses. They were often the quiet ones, the ones whose lifestyle looked almost boring compared to their income. They lived in modest neighborhoods. They drove practical cars. They said no constantly to lifestyle upgrades. Not because they were miserable, but because they understood something deeply that most people never learn. Every dollar you spend on impressing the world is a dollar that can't grow, and money that grows, thanks to compound interest, does something magical over time. It becomes money you didn't have to work for. That's the real secret to wealth building. Not a high salary, not a lucky investment, not a hot stock tip. It's the boring, unsexy practice of consistently putting money somewhere that grows and not touching it. A 25-year-old who invests $200 a month consistently until they're 65, with an average return of 7%, ends up with over $500,000. They didn't have a high income, they didn't take wild risks, they just didn't fall into the trap. So why do so few people do this? Because of something psychologists call social comparison. Humans are deeply tribal. We are wired at the biological level to look at the people around us and calibrate our behavior accordingly. And in a consumer society, the signal that everyone around you is sending is spend, upgrade, display. Your colleague buys a new car. Your friend posts a vacation. Your neighbor renovates their kitchen, and your brain, without you even realizing it, starts recalibrating what's normal, what you should have, what you deserve. And before long, keeping up doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like the minimum requirement for belonging. This is why middle-class people who earn significantly more than previous generations often don't feel wealthier, because the goalposts moved. The standard of normal moved with them. Wealthy people who maintain their wealth have learned to disconnect their identity from their spending. They don't see a new car as proof of success. They see their investment portfolio as proof of success. It's a completely different psychological game. So what do you actually do with all of this? The first thing is just to see the trap clearly. Most people can't avoid something they don't even know exists. Lifestyle inflation isn't a moral failure. It's a predictable psychological response to earning more. Once you recognize it, you can start making different choices. The second thing is to automate your investing before you have a chance to spend. Decide on a number, even if it's small, and make it automatic. Remove the decision from your willpower. Treat your investment transfer the same way you treat your rent. Non-negotiable, non-optional. The third thing is to redefine what progress feels like for you. Right now, your brain is probably measuring financial progress by lifestyle upgrades. A better apartment, a newer phone, a nicer trip. But those things feel good for a few weeks and then disappear into your baseline. What doesn't disappear is a growing net worth. Start checking your investment account the way some people check their social media. Let that number be the thing your brain chases. And the fourth thing, the one that quietly matters more than almost anything else is to be very deliberate about who you compare yourself to. You can't fully escape social comparison, it's human nature, but you can choose your reference group more carefully. Surround yourself, even just online, with people who are building quietly, people who are making unsexy decisions, people who are playing a longer game. Here's the final thought I want to leave you with. The middle-class money trap is not a trap that's set by someone else. There's no villain, no conspiracy. It's a trap that's built from completely understandable human psychology, reinforced by a culture that profits from your spending, and hidden behind the appearance of a perfectly reasonable life. The people who escape it don't necessarily earn more. They don't have some secret investment strategy. They just decided at some point that they were playing a different game, a slower game, a quieter game, a game where winning doesn't look impressive in the moment, but where 10 or 20 years later, you suddenly have options that most people your age simply don't have. Financial freedom isn't about being rich. It's about having choices, and choices come from one thing: keeping some of what you earn, putting it to work, and refusing to let your lifestyle consume everything you make. The trap is real, but now you can see it, and something you can see clearly is something you can walk around.